Do you remember how exciting getting a superhero costume was when you were a kid? Even though they were often cheap-looking, they still made you feel like your favorite superhero. So imagine how great it must feel to wear a superhero costume that is worth millions of dollars and was designed just for you. That's how incredible an experience it is to wear these costumes in movies. Some actors have even wept at the sight of themselves dressed up.
This is definitely the coolest moment of my life.
That being said, looking at yourself in a costume may be amazing, but acting in them is a different story altogether. They can be miserably hot and humiliating. The grueling shoots can often prove as challenging as beating up bad guys. Other times, you're forced to wear a ridiculous motion capture suit that doesn't match your co-stars at all. Here's everything you need to know about your favorite Marvel superhero suits. Number 1. Iron Man's football suit. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't actually play Iron Man all that much. Most of the time we see him as Tony Stark. The Iron Man armor is almost always a CGI model. I'm sure every actor who had to wear a bat suit is jealous of that. For those few scenes that we actually saw Downey in his armor, they had a special costume made. Evidently, the extremely constricting costume was given the name the football suit. You can see him use this in the party scene in Iron Man 2 and the climax of The Avengers. Number 2. America's #1 uniform. Chris Evans had quite a few costumes during his run as Captain America. Evidently, some of these came with aches and pain. The cowl that he sports in some of the costumes gave Evans horrible migraines, which probably only got worse surrounded by set lights and the sound of explosions. This might explain all those shots of Cap without his helmet. That and the cowl's redesign in later movies. Despite all of this, Evans does have a favorite suit. According to him, the stealth suit used in Captain America: The Winter Soldier was the best. He especially seems to have fond memories of his famous elevator fight. Number 3. Too godlike for Thor. Much of Thor's popularity came from the way the charming Australian actor Chris Hemsworth played the role. His comedic and dramatic work as the Asgardian superhero has been some of the best in the MCU. Like his comics counterpart, there seems to be no challenge that Hemsworth won't delight in taking on. That attitude, unfortunately, was a little overzealous at first. Way back in the first Thor, there was a major costuming problem. Hemsworth started noticing that his fingers and toes were getting numb while he was inside the Thor armor. Evidently, he was so dedicated to getting in God shape that he worked out too much. That's right, Chris Hemsworth got too buff for Thor. They had to fix the armor so that he could fit into it comfortably. Never heard of someone being too in shape to play a superhero before. Number 4. Tom Holland took a punch in costume. While Tom Holland's enthusiasm appears to have no end, evidently it doesn't go all the way to the spider suit. In reality, the suit is incredibly uncomfortable and hard to manage. When he gets thirsty, they have to put a straw through one of the suit's eye holes. If he has to go to the bathroom, he has to carefully take everything off first. None of that probably compared with the day he went blind on set. Apparently during a fight scene, Holland's vision inside the mask was obscured. He missed a cue for a stunt and was accidentally punched in the face. I bet he really wishes he had a spider sense then. Number 5. J-Law's Mystique makeup nightmare. Instead of a costume, Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique only has blue body paint and a few prosthetics. This made for quite the problem when Lawrence started playing her. At first, she didn't have much of a problem with the hours in a makeup chair necessary to get her into character. With each subsequent movie, though, they refined the method so that she wouldn't have to endure as much. Eventually, she even got a full bodysuit to lessen her time in the chair. Star power does have its rewards. This might be the reason that Mystique's makeup looks so awful in Dark Phoenix.
What's the matter, baby? You don't think I look pretty like this?
From the look of it, she only gave them about 20 minutes for that one.
Let's go.
Number 6. A shaved head for Nebula. For Nebula, Karen Gillan had to spend hours in a makeup chair as a team put together her complex prosthetics. She also had to wear uncomfortable contact lenses at all times. None of that quite compares to the big sacrifice she had to make. In order to play Nebula, she had to shave her head. This may not seem like a big problem, but it is if you're a young Hollywood star. The actress signed on to a movie where she would have to shave her head while also being completely unrecognizable. This could have been career suicide had her performance not proved to be so iconic. Luckily, the filmmakers were able to modify the look so that she wouldn't have to keep going the full Walter White. Number 7. Loki horns. Tom Hiddleston's costume came with a challenge of its own. Loki iconically wears a helmet that has giant horns sprouting out of it. You would think that this would be the most annoying costume to wear. It seems as though Hiddleston actually loved wearing the horns. Sure, they were incredibly heavy and he couldn't hear a thing, but that didn't bother him as much as it did other superhero actors. As an actor who had researched all of the best Loki stories, he knew the look wouldn't be right without them. Apparently, the first time trying on the costume didn't feel right until he finally got the helmet on. Well, hopefully he finds a reason to wear it again when his new show premieres on Disney+. Number 8. Black Panther can't scratch his ears. Unlike T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman doesn't have access to a lightweight vibranium suit that can disappear in an instant. Instead, he's stuck with an incredibly uncomfortable suit that gets way too hot for a hot filming climate. He's described the suit as being claustrophobic. It would also cut off his air supply, making him have to learn how to properly breathe in costume. The actor had to develop a very zen mind frame in order to comfortably act as the hero. Now that he's appeared in several of the most successful movies of all time, I'd say it was well worth the effort. Number 9. The Hulk pajamas. While all of the Avenger buddies were wearing their cool costumes, Mark Ruffalo stuck with an unflattering motion capture suit. If you've never seen one before, they basically look like gray pajamas with little sensors all over them. This apparently was a humiliating look for Ruffalo, as it proved to be more revealing than he would have liked. Thankfully for him, the visual effects team made sure his Hulk looked much cooler than footsie pajamas. Number 10. Psylocke's too accurate costume. Psylocke may not be a character that everyone knows, but her iconic purple look from the 90s has made her unforgettable. Unfortunately, that look doesn't quite work in the real world. The X-Men movie franchise was never known for featuring comic-accurate costumes. That's why it was so surprising that they went so faithful for Olivia Munn's Psylocke look. The uncomfortable and revealing costume wasn't a favorite for the critics or the actress who had to wear it. Apparently, it took 3 people to squeeze her into it. This was nothing compared to the day on set where she actually split it open. Number 11. Black Widow's sweaty socks. Actually having to play Black Widow apparently wasn't quite as glamorous as you'd think. The suit was obviously constricting and incredibly hot. At the end of shooting, Scarlett Johansson would literally wring out her sweaty socks. She also went through quite a few of the costumes. She even went so far as to compare them to car tires. As soon as one would wear out, she'd replace it with a new one. Now that she's getting her own prequel movie, maybe she can swing a more comfortable costume. At the very least, if she's filming in Russia, it probably won't be as hot. Number 12. The Thanos pajamas. Thanos has risen to the highest peaks of movie bad guy coolness in the last several years. His unrelenting battle against Earth's mightiest heroes has led to some of the most epic movie moments. These moments wouldn't have been nearly as effective without the CGI. You see, Josh Brolin had to appear on set in one of those embarrassing motion capture suits just like Mark Ruffalo. Like his co-star, Brolin also lamented about how humiliating the experience could be. Luckily for Brolin, he at least didn't have to shoot all of his part on soundstage by himself. Advancements in technology allowed him to wear the suit while acting alongside his fellow actors on fully designed sets. Number 13. Drac Snaps. Dave Bautista had to go through quite a lot of time in the makeup chair to play the space-traveling warrior. Not only did they have to apply body paint all over his entire torso, but also his red tattoo-esque brands. While many have stated that this experience is miserable, Bautista didn't appear to mind it as much. Several times, he's gone as far as taking a nap while they apply it. The only real question is how they managed to apply the makeup when he sat so still. We all know that when Drax is still like that, he's invisible to the naked eye. Number 14. Santa Thor. Chris Hemsworth's Thor is famously one of the most physically fit superheroes out there. That's why it was so surprising in Avengers Endgame to find the Prince of Asgard so out of shape. While this was a surprise for the audience, apparently it was a delight for the actor. Chris Hemsworth greatly enjoyed the suit that he had to wear to play the Big Lebowski-styled superhero. No, he didn't actually put on that weight and then lose it. He's not Christian Bale. On set, people frequently hugged him because he was so comfortable. He even equated it to feeling like Santa Claus. Well, if Santa Claus had a magic hammer instead of reindeer. Number 15. Hawkeye brand sportswear. You shouldn't really feel bad for Clint Barton, or actor Jeremy Renner for that matter. While all the other Marvel heroes are miserably hot in their supersuits, Hawkeye gets chill in his comfortable costume. Renner even brags about how easy his outfit is compared to everyone else's. Instead of a cowl or a skin-tight outfit, he's basically just wearing sportswear. So don't feel bad for Hawkeye. He's the only one that's not sweaty and miserable. Number 16. Wolverine's wife approves. Some actors have a very emotional reaction to seeing themselves in costume for the first time. Well, apparently that goes for spouses as well. Hugh Jackman admits that his wife is always really excited when he gets in costume for Wolverine. She has a penchant for bad boys, which makes living with a goody two-shoes like Jackman a bit disappointing at times. If a black leather costume that basically has knives coming out of the gloves doesn't scream bad boy, nothing does. I'm sure she's probably fond of how ridiculously fit Jackman has to get as well. Who doesn't love an 8-pack? Number 17. Apocalypse Now for Oscar Isaac. A lot of people have horror stories about the movie makeup they had to endure. While many have had a terrible experience, few can compare to the suffering of Oscar Isaac. The actor was actually excited when he nabbed the villain role in X-Men Apocalypse. What he probably didn't realize was that he just signed on to the worst filmmaking experience of his life. Instead of creating the larger-than-life apocalypse with CGI, the filmmakers decided to use practical effects. Most of the time, that's actually a wise call. Not this time, though. The costume was so unbearably hot that Isaac frequently had to take breaks in a cooling tent to keep him from passing out. He was also kept separate from his famous co-stars like Michael Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence. Not that he could talk to them if he wanted to, the suit made him more or less deaf. The worst part was that the movie itself was met with an extremely weak reception. Most even cited Isaac's ridiculous costume as one of the movie's main failures. Those motion capture pajamas don't look so bad now, do they? Number 18. Crying over Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was so excited to replace Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man that he cosplayed as the character at Comic-Con. Evidently, his experience in the real costume was even more emotional. The actor admitted he cried the first time he saw himself in costume. Judging from the fact that everyone hated both of his Spidey films, that moment in costume was likely the emotional high point. Number 19. Daredevil's Shame. Ben Affleck's Daredevil is commonly thought of as one of the worst superhero movies of all time. Affleck's turn as the Hell's Kitchen hero made the character seem ridiculous until his Netflix revival. Part of the reason for this was the horrible costume that he was forced to wear. The skin-tight red leather jumpsuit was apparently humiliating for the actor. He related to Superman actor George Reeves, who also hated dressing up in his superhero garb. Affleck once played Reeves, though I doubt he thought he'd get that close to the other actor. None of that humiliation probably compared to reading the reviews for the part. If you have to suffer a superhero role, it has to suck for that role to be universally hated. Well, at least that was the last time he made a critically despised superhero film. Number 20. NIGHTCRAWLER'S Blue Actor Group. Alan Cumming isn't known for doing big blockbuster films. Sure, he's done things like GoldenEye and Spy Kids, but that's not his usual thing. The actor is known for his television appearances in things like The Good Wife, or for lighting up on Broadway. One of the few big-budget Hollywood films he's been in was X2: X-Men United. He played the character to plenty of critical acclaim, but never played him again. Part of the reason was that his makeup experience was pretty terrible. After hours spent in a makeup chair, the actor was kept separate from most of the other actors. He wasn't even allowed to eat with them due to his fake teeth. This apparently wasn't all that lonely, though. His trailer was stationed right next to Mystique actor Rebecca Romijn. The two Blue actors would spend hours together lamenting over how difficult the process was. They should all get together with Jennifer Lawrence and Oscar Isaac for dinner sometime. Number 21. Killmonger, the Prince of all Saiyans. Marvel used to have a serious villain problem. In the days before the Avengers fought Thanos, most MCU villains were considered pretty weak. The one villain who changed that wasn't the Mad Titan, though. Michael B. Jordan's Eric Killmonger is one of the best comic villains to ever grace the big screen. He was intense, terrifying, and oddly sympathetic. Anime fans had to do a double take while watching Black Panther, though. Killmonger's costume is strangely similar to a famous anime prince. In Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta is a prince of a warrior race of aliens called SAIYANS. If you're a DBZ fan, you're in good company. Michael B. Jordan is also a big fan of the series and the character. Jordan likes to be coy about whether or not the armor is actually inspired by the anime character, but it seems pretty obvious. So when Netflix inevitably tries to adapt DBZ, Michael B. Jordan has already got the costume. Number 22. The Thing's not-so-fantastic costume. CGI really is a beautiful thing sometimes. When you have to play a Hulk-like character, it's much better for that actor to have to wear a motion capture suit. The alternative is often pretty miserable. That's what The Shield's Michael Chiklis found out the hard way while filming Fantastic Four. He referred to the experience as the seventh circle of hell. Despite this, he still seems to have fond memories of working on the franchise. He probably didn't have to watch them then. Number 23. Paul Bettany's Vision Meditations. While his Marvel job pretty much saved Paul Bettany's Hollywood career, it did prove to be a challenge. For one, Bettany's Jarvis job was the easiest money made in Hollywood. He would show up, drop a few lines into a microphone, and walk away with lots of money and a Marvel credit to his name. Looks like he had existential payback coming for him when he got the Vision role. The makeup he has to wear for it is apparently extremely uncomfortable. He says that after a week of wearing it, he has to focus to not lose his cool. The actor says that he has to meditate on all of the fans and actors who would love to trade places with him. It must be helpful that those fans also consider him perfect for the role. Number 24. The Making of Gamora. It's likely that Zoe Saldana would trade her hours in the makeup chair to play Gamora for her motion capture suit from Avatar. It does seem as though she's more comfortable with the procedure than some of her co-stars. She even posted a time-lapse video that showed the 4-hour process. At least she got a few more Twitter followers out of it. Number 25. Crying over Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds has had quite the superhero movie history. After his role in Blade Trinity, he was told that he should play a character named Wade Wilson. He was ecstatic about the idea and began campaigning for the role. His first time playing the character in X-Men Origins Wolverine was a complete disaster. It seemed as though his days as Wilson were done, so he moved on to a DC role. Though Green Lantern wasn't any better. That time, he didn't even get a costume. just a crude CGI suit grafted over his body in an unrealistic fashion. So when he finally got to play his superhero dream role his way, he got plenty emotional. The first time he saw the comics-accurate Deadpool suit, he actually cried. Given how much he'd gone through to get that suit, I'd consider that tear-worthy. No wonder he appears in the suit so often. There's a good chance he probably sleeps in it. So there you have it, 25 secrets behind Marvel superhero suits. Did we miss any of your favorites? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more from The Binger.